1. The Forgotten Employee. Sarah's first day at Burger King was a mix of excitement and nervousness. The manager, Mr. Thompson, greeted her with a warm smile and handed her a crisp uniform. "You'll be working in the basement today, organizing our inventory," he said. Sarah nodded, eager to make a good impression. The basement was dimly lit, with shelves stacked high with boxes of supplies. As she began sorting through the items, she felt a sudden chill, causing her to shiver. She brushed it off as a draft and continued her work. While moving a box, Sarah stumbled upon an old, dusty employee badge. The name read Michael with a faded picture of a young man, and the date on it was from the 1980s. Curious, she pocketed the badge, intending to ask someone about it later. During her lunch break, Sarah showed the badge to her colleague, Jenna. Jenna's face turned pale. "That's the badge of the employee who disappeared," she whispered. Sarah raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Jenna continued. "Michael was a hard-working guy, always stayed late. One night, he just vanished. They searched everywhere, but never found him." Sarah felt a shiver run down her spine. The basement suddenly felt more ominous. Over the next few days, she began to notice strange occurrences. Lights would flicker, boxes would move slightly out of place, and she would occasionally hear faint whispers, almost like someone calling out. One evening, as Sarah was finishing her shift, she realized she had left her phone in the basement. As she descended the stairs, the door behind her slammed shut, plunging her into darkness. Panic surged through her as she tried to open the door, but it wouldn't budge. In the pitch black, she felt a cold presence. The whispers grew louder, now clearly saying, "Help me." Terrified, Sarah called out, "Who's there?" There was no response, but she felt a gentle tug on her sleeve, guiding her towards a corner of the basement. Her hand stumbled upon a loose brick in the wall. Pushing it aside, she discovered a hidden room. Using her phone's flashlight, she illuminated the space and gasped. Inside, there were old Burger King uniforms, personal belongings, and a skeletal figure slumped in the corner. The next morning, the police were called. The remains were identified as Michael's. It was deduced that he had accidentally locked himself in the hidden room and couldn't get out. The news sent shockwaves throughout the Burger King community. Sarah was hailed as a hero for discovering the truth. The basement was renovated, with the hidden room turned into a memorial for Michael. Employees often said they felt a peaceful presence there, as if Michael was watching over them, grateful to finally be at rest. As for Sarah, she was promoted and continued to work at Burger King for many years. She always kept Michael's badge with her, a reminder of the mystery she had uncovered and the spirit she had helped find peace. 2. The Haunted Drive-Thru. Mark had always been a night owl, which made the graveyard shift at Burger King's drive-thru a perfect fit for him. The nights were usually quiet, with the occasional car passing through for a late-night snack. But one night, things took a turn for the eerie. It was around 2 a.m. when the drive-thru speaker crackled to life. "One Whopper, no onions, extra pickles," a raspy voice ordered. Mark noted it down, prepared the burger, and waited. But no car came to the window. He shrugged it off, thinking maybe someone had changed their mind. However, the same order came through the next night, and the night after that. Each time, no car ever came to pick it up. Mark grew increasingly puzzled. He even checked the security cameras, but they showed no one at the ordering station. One evening, he mentioned it to Clara, a longtime employee. Her face drained of color as she heard the order. "That was Mr. Henderson's order," she whispered. Mark looked at her quizzically. Clara continued. "He was a regular, came by every night, always ordered the same thing. One night, right after placing his order, he had a heart attack and died right at the drive-thru." Mark felt a chill run down his spine. He had heard of haunted houses and ghostly apparitions, but a haunted drive-thru was a new one. He decided to investigate further. The next night, when the familiar order came through, Mark immediately checked the security footage. To his astonishment, he saw a shadowy figure standing at the order station. It was faint and translucent, but it was unmistakably there. Determined to get to the bottom of this, Mark hatched a plan. The following evening, as soon as he heard the order, he prepared the Whopper with no onions and extra pickles. Instead of waiting for the car that never came, he placed the burger on the window ledge and stepped back. Hours passed, and as dawn approached, Mark mustered the courage to check the window. The burger was gone. In its place was a crumpled note. It read, "Thank you." Word spread about the Haunted Drive-Thru and Mr. Henderson's ghost. Locals began to visit, hoping to catch a glimpse of the spectral customer. Some even started ordering the Henderson special in his honor. As the weeks went by, the mysterious orders ceased. Mark believed that Mr. Henderson's spirit had found peace, perhaps comforted by the final act of receiving his favorite meal. The story became a local legend, and while new employees were initially skeptical, they soon became believers when shown the security footage of the shadowy figure. Mark, however, always remembered it as the time he served a ghost, ensuring that even in the afterlife, everyone could have it their way. 3. The Phantom Fryer. The Burger King on Elm Street had always been a bustling hub for the community. But for the employees, especially those on the night shift, there was one peculiar aspect of the restaurant they couldn't explain. The fryer that seemed to have a mind of its own. Lisa, the store manager, was a pragmatic woman. She believed in facts and logic. So when the younger employees told her that the fryer would spontaneously turn on, bubbling and hissing in the dead of night, she dismissed it as a technical glitch. But one night, while Lisa was working late, she witnessed it firsthand. The restaurant was silent, the lights dimmed, and out of the blue, the fryer roared to life. Curious, Lisa approached it, noting that the switch was still in the off position. As she stood there, puzzled, she heard a soft giggle. Spinning around, she caught a fleeting glimpse of a young boy's apparition near the fryer before it vanished. Shaken, Lisa decided to dig deeper. She approached Mrs. Green, the oldest employee at the ranch. Over a cup of coffee, Mrs. Green recounted the history of the building. Before it was a Burger King, it was a quaint residential house. Tragically, a fire had broken out in the kitchen decades ago, claiming the life of a young boy named Tommy. Tommy, as Mrs. Green remembered, was a mischievous child, always playing pranks and sneaking into the kitchen to steal freshly baked cookies. The fryer, it seemed, was his new playground. Determined to find a solution, Lisa consulted a local medium. The medium, a serene woman named Marianne, agreed to hold a séance in the restaurant after hours. As the clock struck midnight, Marianne began to communicate with Tommy's spirit. The room grew cold, and the lights flickered. Then, in a voice that wasn't her own, Marianne spoke. "I just want to play. I miss my home." Lisa, moved by the child's longing, responded, "Tommy, this is a place of work now. We understand you miss your home, but you're scaring people. Can we find a way to help you?" There was a pause, and then Marianne, still channeling Tommy, replied, "I like the bubbles. Can I play sometimes?" Struck with an idea, Lisa said, "How about this? We'll set up a small fryer in the back, just for you. You can play with it as much as you want, but you have to promise to leave the main fryer alone." The atmosphere in the room lightened, and Marianne, back in her own voice, smiled. "He agrees," she said. True to her word, Lisa set up a small fryer in a corner of the storage room. Every night, employees would hear it bubbling away, but the main fryer remained undisturbed. The story of the Phantom Fryer became legendary in town. Many visited the Burger King, hoping to catch a glimpse of Tommy, and some even claimed they saw a small handprint on the window or heard faint laughter. For Lisa, it was a lesson in understanding and coexistence. She realized that sometimes all a lost soul needed was a little acknowledgement and a space to call their own. 4. The Cursed Toy. Burger King's latest kids' meal toy was an instant hit. A small plastic dragon with gleaming red eyes and movable wings. It was the talk of the town. But as the days went by, whispers of the toy's strange behavior began to circulate. Parents reported their children having nightmares after playing with the dragon. Some even claimed that the toy would move on its own, its red eyes glowing eerily in the dark. Alex, a young employee at the local Burger King, was intrigued. He had distributed hundreds of these toys and couldn't fathom how a simple plastic figure could cause such disturbances. One evening, as Alex was closing up, he found one of the dragon toys on a table. Curious, he pocketed it, deciding to observe it overnight. That night, he was jolted awake by a chilling dream of a shadowy figure with glowing red eyes, much like the toys, standing at the foot of his bed. Startled, he turned on the light and found the dragon toy on his nightstand, its wings flapping slowly. Determined to uncover the mystery, Alex began researching the toy's origins. He discovered that the factory where it was produced was built on an old burial ground. Local legends spoke of a guardian dragon that watched over the souls buried there. The toy's design eerily matched the descriptions of this mythical creature. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Alex approached his manager, Mrs. Patel, with his findings. Initially skeptical, Mrs. Patel was convinced when Alex showed her online forums, filled with similar accounts from concerned parents. Together, they decided to hold a small ritual to appease the disturbed spirits. Enlisting the help of a local shaman, they gathered all the returned dragon toys in the Burger King parking lot one evening. The shaman chanted ancient verses, calling upon the guardian dragon to release its hold on the toys and return to its eternal rest. As the ritual reached its climax, a gust of wind swept through the lot, and the toys' red eyes dimmed. The atmosphere, previously heavy with tension, lightened, and a sense of peace prevailed. The next day, Burger King issued a recall for the dragon toy, offering a replacement toy and a free meal as compensation. The cursed toys were buried at the old burial ground, with a small plaque acknowledging the guardian dragon's legacy. Alex was hailed as a hero in the community, and the story of the cursed toy became a cautionary tale about respecting the past and the mysteries it holds. The Burger King on Elm Street, previously just another fast food joint, became a symbol of the town's rich history and its connection to the supernatural. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the Dark Tales Unleashed channel for more such content.